beautiful muses. Welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot and a new reading all about what new chapter is about to open up in your life. So we have 4 piles for you today. First pile, or pile 1, is this green or Aqua Calcite. Pile 2, we have Sunstone. Pile 3, we have Turquoise. And pile 4, we've got a more green colored turquoise. Okay, so take a look over these cards and piles and feel into which one is drawing you in. And that would be your aligned pile of a new chapter, a new portal about to open to you, something new arising in your life. All right, I will see you guys in your readings. Hello, pile 1. So what new chapter is opening for you guys is what we are looking at today. And the stone and card underneath your stone literally says rebirth. I mean, what else more clearly spells out a new chapter? So for you guys, this is really about, like, there is absolutely some free will being placed upon this new chapter coming in. But that said, I do have some advice to kind of help you key into what that might be for you specifically. So I feel like this new chapter is something different for each of you, but what each of you can tune into is some aspect of your life that has felt like it's been in a desert for quite some time, that it's been in a drought, that it's been stagnant, no movement, unable to make anything happen there. This is specifically what is rebirthing. And that said, because in the rebirth energy, things are what's the word I'm looking for? They are incubating. And we can put our intentions and our inspiration into that incubation space to influence it. We can't exactly determine what it's going to birth as, but we can put our energy and our wants and our desires into it very intentionally to help that kind of go into a co-creative space with the universe. And so for you, once you key into that thing in your life that you feel like has just been stagnant, in a drought, just really struggling to have any growth or traction in your life, identify what that is and now make a new vision board of what that possibility of what you would like it to be like. Put some real visual, intentional thought into this. It's probably not going to manifest and rebirth exactly how you're, with the energy you're putting in, because there's something co-creative going on here, but it will infuse it. It will give it a tone. It will give it some directionals as to where your heart is. So there, with this new chapter coming in, there is this call to action on your part to do some visioning, to work on a vision board, to work on some intentions, to work on what would make you feel alive, what would make you feel a new sense of passion around this area of your life again. So this isn't just like a new chapter that kind of comes out of nowhere and like, oh wow, suddenly this thing happened in my life and I'm on this trajectory. It's sort of like, this really relates to something you've been consciously aware of as stagnant. So it's part of a life cycle for you. And so there's a deep awareness of something, some area of your life that's just kind of been dissolving, kind of been stagnant. So it's not an out of nowhere thing. It's a rebirth of something that has been in a winter phase for you. Okay, we're going to pull a few more oracle cards to maybe get a little bit more context and specificity for you guys. See if we can narrow this down a little bit around, especially for any of you that are like, I don't know what that would be. My guess is most of you have some idea of what that is, but Gnosis. I do feel like the Oracle cards that are coming out are going to show a little bit about what is coming, not necessarily what about the thing itself that's rebirthing, but kind of the energy of what will come with the rebirth. Okay, so Gnosis, this rebirth is going to take you into some very intellectual terrain where you're going to learn a lot and even learn some kind of esoteric, interesting, deep, ancient kinds of wisdoms and knowledge. But yes, it's really going to open up your studious side. For some of you, you may be going back to school. You may be getting into academia. You may be looking towards being like a professor if you've already kind of gone through your paces with schooling. Maybe there's a professorship or teaching track, something where you will be imparting wisdom you've already accumulated. But there is something about, yeah, really diving into the realm of learning, academia, interesting wisdoms out there, really getting into some kind of religious study or other interesting, you know, prescriptive type of study itself, really diving deep in there. So any of those things are possible here. Yeah, really cool. Okay, let's get a couple of wild unknown archetype cards for you. And then we will do some tarot cards as well. Ooh, that's too many. These do not want to shuffle. It's interesting. That one. The bridge. Interesting. And the temple. Yeah, I mean, that definitely connects with what I said before, like some religious type. It doesn't have to be a religion, but something you're studying religiously that feels sacred. That definitely feels like that's coming through here. Really cultivating your mind as a temple, with combining the Gnosis and the temple here, like making your mind feel with the kind of rigors you may be putting it through, really cultivating it as a very sacred tool that you possess. And then I do think some of the things you will be learning or focusing on or coming into some real deep wisdoms in will help you to create some bridges either in your life or in the greater world. Yeah, whatever you rigorously focus your mind on here is really helping you to bridge certain ideas, helping you to bridge different worlds that you live within. And more broadly, if you are someone that likes to take big action in the world, like being able to build bridges between religions, between communities, between cultures, between whatever, like kind of a diplomatic essence resulting from what you do, whether that's directed very personally in your life and your local community or more broadly in the world. But you're really, I do feel this just like deep sacredness and refinement that your mind is going to take on through what through certain courses of study that you get involved in. It really, really refines your mind, really strengthens, reminds, and makes sacred. Your mind is this amazing, beautiful, really, really special tool is what I'm feeling. A very special tool. Yeah, very interesting. Huh. Okay, let's do some tarot cards to get into. Need a little more space. Get into a little more context. We have 10 of Pentacles. The World. So a lot of you may be doing, even if that doesn't like, if you're like, I can't even fathom that, like doing something very big and broad in the world with bridge building and wisdom and knowledge. I do think you're going to do something much more broad than you at least have done to this point or would expect yourself to do starting this chapter. But the refinement and the specialness of the wisdom and knowledge you come into is just exactly what the world needs right now. And I feel like you're going to find yourself almost shoved, not just like doors opening to you that kind of push you into more public domain. It's sort of like almost just finding yourself there, just kind of like finding yourself on the other side of different doors that keep opening to you, not like consciously going through them. You're just kind of ushered through them, and all of a sudden like, oh, whoa, I'm on this huge stage all of a sudden. What is that about? 10 of Wands, yeah. So you have 2 10s here. This rebirth is going to come with an immense amount of, maybe not initially, but the result of what you cultivate and learn and train in yourself is going to come with quite a responsibility. You will hold a lot of weight with this. You will hold a lot of responsibility with it. But at the same time, it's something that you deeply care about and that you are uniquely prepared to steward and nurture and cultivate and take excellent care of. And the material rewards will be like legacy level. Like you will go to such new levels. For some of you, you may be writing something. Others, you're teaching something. Others, you're kind of facilitating things. But yeah, like it's like this, this rebirth just really, really hones in on this beautiful refining process with your mind. And it's just what the world needs, and everything's going to be like divine timing every step of the way. It's like you're not really going to have to look for the answers, look for the opportunities, look for the people. It's just like it's going to just happen. You're just going to keep falling into it, and sort of suddenly like deer in headlights, be like, whoa, look where I am. Like, how did I get here? This is crazy. But at the same time, feeling very confident and sure and very self-possessed with what you have to bring to where you're at. It's just sort of like these moments of like, whoa, I never in a million years would have seen myself here. But yeah, I've got it though. This is fine. I've got this. Very cool. Okay, to end this, we're going to see what kind of goddess energy is sort of creating some beautiful guidance and space around you for this new chapter. Ooh, I love this for you guys. Pele, Divine Passion. And why I love this so much is because we're seeing with 2 10s and the World, that's an immense amount of pressure and responsibility. coming through. And the Knight of Pentacles is actually a very responsible fellow as well. So like everything in your tarot cards is like really holding, you know, some weight on your shoulders. And in order to do that and have it feel really positive for you in your life, you need it to be coming from a place of passion. And this is showing that it absolutely does. You are able to hold this, focus it, walk the walk, walk the talk, talk the walk, whatever it is. Stand up to the pressures, undergo the rigors of whatever your mind is, you know, training in itself, because you're so deeply passionate about it. So that energy is endless. When we're passionate about something, when it comes from our heart and our gut and our soul, we can have endless, for many of us, we can have endless stores of energy. When we're connected to that place, and this is showing that you do. So the weight you're holding actually is just fine with you, actually something you would be eager to hold and looking to hold. So really gorgeous, very interesting. Yeah, we did get a little bit more specific than I thought we would get, so that's also really cool. So yeah, good luck on this new chapter. My intention going into this is this new chapter is starting, you know, like within a month or two of this reading. So like really coming in, you know, I really wanted to hone in on something that's like right on the horizon. So anytime from right now to 2 months is sort of the range I was feeling, with an intention with this new chapter. So all right, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. If this was interesting to you, if this makes you feel excited and connected and resonant, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and definitely always appreciative and excited when I see kind and thoughtful comments, just feeling that humanness out there behind the technology. Yeah, so I hope you guys have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. Hello, beautiful muses and pile 2, my Sunstone pile. We are looking into what new chapter is about to start for you. And my intention with this reading is that chapter is very close. It's on the horizon. So anywhere from right when you're watching this to up to 2 months away is when my intention for this reading and this new chapter to be aligned with. So beautiful pile 2, you guys picked kintsugi, which is that it's like a Japanese term for when something is broken, they will put it back together using like a gold mending material, which makes it. And if you can look at this figure, it's like the statue as well as the vase have been broken, and it's been put back together with gold veining, which gives it its own uniqueness, which gives it a new quality of beauty. And there's something about looking at something that has been broken and that has been pieced back together with an artfulness and with an attention to bringing new beauty to it that adds this depth of character. And so what I'm seeing for you guys, and I actually want to, in the guidebook, there's just like a mantra at the end of each of the cards. And I thought that the mantra for this one was so beautiful and so beautifully captured what the whole of the description was. So I thought I would just read that to you guys, which, you know, I haven't really intended to read anything from the guidebooks in this, but it felt important. So I said, so it says, I weld the pieces of my past back together with gold and stand in my presence as a work of art to behold. What was no longer is, and what will be is beautiful. And so what I'm feeling this new chapter is about is I think many of you have been through something where something has fallen apart in your life, some part of you has fallen apart. but you're kind of getting over a hump of a massive grieving period, and this period of sort of hopelessness and like, where do I go from here, and feeling a little bit shattered, to feeling newly compelled to start putting your life and yourself back together. And so this new chapter is all about that. The initial part of it will be that mending, that putting things back together. And as you go through that process, you're going to feel this new sense of elegance in you, of having been through certain battles in your life and conquered them. And because of that, or just having gone through battles in general, you don't have to put conquering on top of that unless it makes sense. There's like a certain wisdom that comes through, and a certain elegance of like, I've weathered this storm, and I've found some beauty in having been through this, and I've found new parts of myself. I've really cracked myself open, and that's allowed so many things about who I am to kind of be seen, even just by myself or yourself, that you would never have seen if you had not shattered a bit. So for some of you, this could be like you've been through a divorce, you've suffered a great loss, you've been through some kind of trauma, or, some serious health issues, but something is like you're over the most difficult part of that hump, and this new chapter is coming in to give you sort of like a new sunrise coming up that's like, it's time for me to have my new day. It's time for me to put the pieces back together and not move on from this, but move on with my life. And it's just sort of like, to reiterate what I said before, as you start that process, you're going to start to see, as you reconfigure the pieces that shattered, the beauty that has been added to your soul, having gone through what you've gone through. And through that, just an ability to approach life with so much more depth and tenderness and beauty than before. It gives you just as like a mark of artfulness. Yeah, really gorgeous. And so you will get over the hump of a really difficult period, and as you start to put your pieces back together, it's like you're gonna be awestruck by how that feels, and the changes and sort of updates that's created in you, and an ability to go forward with these, feeling different, feeling just more artful about life. Okay. Air, and with a light touch, it's going to give you like a lot of whatever you've been through, going forward into this new chapter where you're able to feel yourself as like more elegant and more tender and more artful. You're going to shock yourself with the kind of eloquence. So we've already talked about some elegance just in your being, but the way you're able to articulate and express yourself will be leveled up in its eloquence, and a really artful, gorgeous, thoughtful, deep articulation and way of connecting and way of understanding harmonies and tensions and the mind and other people's minds and the mind of the world. There's just like a lot of beautiful wisdom and refined mental energy coming in here, and an ability to really, also with the air, this ability, I also think of the wind here for some reason, this ability to the more you put yourself back together and the more of that artfulness you see starting to kind of shine through, the more you are able to really move your life, really mold and move and change your life with fresh energy, fresh momentum, fresh ideas, fresh mentalities. Yeah, really gorgeous. Okay, let's get 2 more oracle cards and then we will do some tarot as well. The Shaman. Yeah, I think that you've been doing a lot of healing work in general, and not just, like going to, when I say healing work, a lot of you might picture like, energetic healings like Reiki and mindfulness and massage. But beyond that, I think you've maybe done some of that, some of you, but beyond that, I think a lot of you have really gone into some depth healing of your energies, where you've faced some shadows, where you've done some power recall and soul recall, and really gone into other realms to see where certain things got stuck, or to call in and develop new relationships with guides and ancestors, and developing a relationship with things in other worlds to kind of help you on your journey, help you on your path, help you to see shadow work that's been needed and face shadow work that's been needed, but also to do some recall and empowerment work. So like really going into the darkness to retrieve your light. That's something I see that you've probably done, and so there may be something about this new chapter where you kind of take on an ability to kind of do that for others in the world, or you just kind of have that depth about you that kind of makes you feel sort of like shamanistic, depth psychologist, surgeon, I don't know, just like these things that like get into the depths of things. You could read some, the depth psychology realm. It's not something that's always talked about in modern psychology, and a lot of modern psychology is really distance themselves from the depth psychologists, but like Carl Jung has some really interesting depth psychology ideas, and that's something you may want to, read some of his work. There's, quite a surge of shamanic practitioners out there these days. There's even just YouTubes with like shamanic guided journeys you can go do. But I feel like you may actually take on some training here and some shamanic practices or some depth psychology, something that takes you into depth work and shadow work. There may be a calling here coming in for you, because you've been through certain things. Like that's like one of the signs of being called to be a shaman, is like going through a death experience, a near-death experience, something that pushes you to a brink of kind of letting down the walls and touching the other world in like a really profound way. If you've felt that, you may be called to do some shamanic training or depth psychology training, something in that realm at least. Doesn't have to specifically be one of those two things. And the self, and I love this coming through. This new chapter is really making you feel whole to yourself, is really helping you feel and know and trust your heart, your boundaries, your ideas, your path. Not to get like selfish here, but there's something here of like all the self-centering practices we need to do to feel whole are things you're really understanding. If we don't foundationally understand how to center in ourselves and know ourselves, we can have some arrested development or some stalled development in, maturing into adults. And I feel like there may have been some things for a lot of you in your past, some traumas that made it hard for you to really know yourself. And so you kind of got stuck in your developmental process. But whatever you've been through and the way you are or are going to be putting yourself back together and doing some depth psychology and retrieval work, you're going back, and that foundation will be reset, and you're going to know yourself so deeply, which then allows you to go forward into adulthood and maturity and holding position in the world and whatever it is you want to do, starting a family with this really, really stable center. So it's not saying that you stay in that self-centering place. It's just like that self-centered place gets repaired and you know yourself, and then you're able to center other things more appropriately and more maturely and more beautifully and more artfully, as we've talked about, that artfulness coming through. Yeah, so something either has newly been repaired about your core sense of self and knowing you, or that's part of this new chapter, but it's a really positive, beautiful thing. Okay, let's look at a few tarot cards just to get some final context to this. Eight of Swords. The Sun. Page of Swords. And the Magician. Yeah, I love what I'm seeing here. So yeah, what I definitely am picking back up on that thing of like something made you feel sort of blind to your own power, blind to your ability to center in yourself and ask for what you need and connect to your needs, your desires. And it sort of trapped you from really progressing and developing in your life. And whatever that was, which then also led to something that shattered for you, that this chapter is about kind of piecing that back together. Initially, I think it's, that's like the start of the chapter, but it goes, way beyond that at that point. But whatever did shatter for you has some energetic connection to you feeling trapped because you don't know your own power, because you don't know your own self. And the Sun has come up on this and is releasing you from this. It's helping you to see how that happened, where it happened, and how to cultivate, heal, and develop that within yourself. And then as that happens, it really is very healing, very energizing, very motivating. And then you go forward in this chapter with so many new ideas, so many brilliant thoughts and ways of connecting. Again, we have Page of Swords and the Air showing up here. So it's just like a lot of ideas, a lot of connection coming up, a lot of new value for your mind, new sense of value for the world of ideas, for connecting into kind of like new mentalities, really newly having self-worth around your thoughts, around your mind, really feeling, a new connection to self-worth, in relation to your mind and your mind's ability to empower you. And then, you know, the result of this chapter is going to really be putting, and I love that this came under the Self card, really putting you into empowerment of understanding that you can manifest for yourself what you desire. You have the resources, you have the assertive ability, you have the intelligence, you have the willingness to decide what it is that you want for your life and how to manifest that, and like really resulting into coming to know that you are the key factor in manifesting for your life. You have to get your energetics right to do that. And at the end of this chapter, you will have done that, and you will have evidence that you manifest beautifully, and you know how to manifest, and you have the power to manifest and the determination, and you know what you want to manifest. I feel like that's an important thing that's coming. You know what you want to manifest, and that you know that you can manifest it with whatever resources you have available to you at any given time. You can manifest what you want, and that is going to be the result here, is coming into an empowerment around yourself as a manifesting magnate, a manifesting force. Really learning to claim what you want, vocalize what you want, dream up what you want, have your own desires, have your own compass and direction and needs, and and going after them, not waiting for it to happen or others to do it for you, just like stepping into like, I can make my life what I want it. I have the power to do that, and recognizing it. Beautiful. All right, this is where I'm gonna, oh wait, one more card, sorry. We wanna see which goddess energy is helping to guide this new chapter for you. And you guys, oh gorgeous, Dana, High Priestess, you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teachings, which really ties into what I was saying on the shaman card, is like, seems to be a calling here to some kind of, maybe spiritual teaching, spiritual calling, healer calling, something like that. But also Dana showing up here, High Priestess energy, is like really putting you into your inner knowings, your intuition, and your ability to articulate that and kind of stand as a model, as a force, as someone other people look to as a guiding force. And I think it's because you've gained this new artfulness, compassion, tenderness, and elegance through whatever you've been through. And not just that you've been through it, but that you have put yourself back together. It really gives you this status as like High Priestess status. Okay, that's for real where we're going to leave. If this resonated, I always appreciate the like, share, subscribe, and definitely always makes me feel, warm inside when I see little comments, even just a little emoji, just knowing there are humans behind the numbers out there. So that said, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. See you guys. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading all about what new chapter is about to start for you. And my intention with this reading was that new chapter is something that is on the horizon. So starting very soon, anywhere from right when you see the reading to 2 months from when you see it. So something that's very close at hand. So you guys picked the turquoise stone, and under it, the card that you have that is kind of the cornerstone for this new chapter is intention. And what I am sensing and feeling here that this new chapter is all about a completely different mentality and mindset that you're coming into that suddenly clicks for you, of like, all the things I think to myself and I think out in the world, they have an effect on how my body is built and what I draw into my life, and are very deeply connected and have deep correlation to the circumstances of my life. And maybe you've just had this, or are about to have this sudden kind of like epiphany, cosmic download, a certain experience, come into some, I don't know, whatever, but something that profoundly just unlocks something in you that is like, oh wow, I really need to cultivate new ways of thinking about things. In the guidebook, it was talking about, for this card, a study that was done that estimates that people have, I can't remember, it was in the 2000s, like we'll just say 2,500 thoughts a day. And so, you know, like even if you have certain mantras like, I am a loving person, your brain may react to that. And, you know, sort of, you know, we're not always conscious of every thought that streams through our mind, but it may have a reaction to some sort of like beautiful mantra or conscious thought that comes through that then is like, well, no, you're not. And look, oh, you messed up here. And just, you know, like a lot of us can get really hard and down on ourselves and on other people. And I think something is shifting where you're able to kind of put more, like a little more thorough, thoughtful, slow processes as to how you go through your day, so that you can be really aware of how your mind is connecting to everything you do through your day. So I think this starts out very little for you guys, actually, just kind of like slowing down your processes and being like, okay, so today I have to attend to this and this and this, and work is requiring this of me, and my kids are requiring that of me, and I would like to do these things for myself, and this needs to be done around the house. And just kind of like slowing down and being like, you know what, this kind of rapid pace, and this may not be you, I'm just giving an example here. This kind of rapid pace is making me so like unaware of how my life is going. I really need to cut a few things out here and go more slowly, so I can really be present to everything that I do, and find ways to enjoy those things, and find ways to slowly, systematically reweave what I do with my days, and aligning those to how I want to feel, and then practicing doing these things in ways where they now become like anchor points for me rather than tasks I have to do, where they become something beautiful I want to attend to. And I feel like it's this thing of like this shift happening where you now attend to these little things throughout your day with more intention, more awareness, and more beauty. And little by little, that starts to shift your self-talk and your thoughts about others and things in the world to be a little bit more present to those thoughts, a little bit more aware and intentional of those thoughts, and just like slow. It's like a deep slowing down process. Like you may suddenly be like, I need to get off of so many social media and apps that have this insane amount of scrolling where I'm just taking in bite-sized information one after another. Like it needs to stop. And I need to put my attention on much more long format things and less scrolling. And it's not saying that what you see on social media is bad or uninteresting or incorrect. That's not the case. It's more about like slowing it down and finding a more intentionality, a more deeper connection to life, and it's really coming on for you. Yeah, and I just feel this like little by little. It's interesting because I feel like this is like a new chapter that you may not have this like, oh wow, suddenly I'm oriented in this new direction and off I go doing this. This is like a very little by little thing, but I do think there's going to be a moment where you're going to have like this epiphany of like, yeah, I really do need to be more present to the flow of my life and how that creates certain thoughts in me that I may not always be present to. And if I can go slow and be present to those thoughts, I can start to direct those thoughts and consciously create intention in my thoughts rather than kind of having reactionary thoughts. Yeah, and then little by little, those intentions grow into being able to really manifest profound things in life because you know how to direct your thought and you've seen the evidence of that what you think creates results. But it's not just because you think it, it's because you've cultivated a practice and a beauty and a connection to those thoughts, a presence with those thoughts. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to write down a list of things I want to manifest. It's a practiced thing. It's a cultivated thing. It's done in such a slow, systematic way that you know that when you decide to manifest something, you're so present to that you're so aware of all the thoughts around it and the actions you're taking that support that energetically and that align who you want to be energetically to that manifestation. It's a much deeper process than just making an intention, you know. It's a whole lifestyle and a practice. And it's like something's clicking for you about this. And it's going to lead to you really being able to shift your life and shift your ability to really manifest the life you want through living a much more intentional life in every little aspect of your life. Okay, let's get a little bit more context here with some oracle cards. The Seeker. Oh, I love this. Yeah, I mean, this definitely highlights that it's also a time for you to be open-minded, to explore the world, to see maybe how specifically, you know, find people, whether it's like people you know in your community or your groups you're involved with, or there's maybe people like public figures in the world that you really admire, like they've really manifested the life that they want. And I think you're turning into this seeker and getting really curious about people that have created lives similar to the kind of life you want, and really kind of paying attention to in what way did they live intentionally? In what way did they create intention around how their life became this way? What did they do in their daily lives to kind of really alter being intentional? Did it start with those small things like we've talked about? Or were there some like bigger steps they took? But I just feel a curiosity coming on with you, and especially around understanding how people manifest their intentions, and specifically looking for people who have led intentional lives and manifested certain lives that resonate with what you would want for yourself. And you know, sometimes it's sort of that fake it till you make it, and kind of like model, you know, reading about them, talking to whatever you have access to, like digging into who they are, how their intentionality functions, and kind of, you know, mimicking a little bit until certain things key in for you and click in for you. Yeah. Okay, let's pick a couple. Ooh, well, that was, ooh, I love this. Okay, there's one, the Starborn, and the Cave. I love this because when I look at the Starborn, it's sort of like the thing that is about to hatch has been, you know, being in an eggshell is kind of like being in a cave. It's like the womb space. And I think that the initial part of this chapter is kind of about doing a lot of introspection, a lot of like going deep within, connecting to your soul, to really even understand what kind of intentions you want to create practice and awareness and consciousness around. Like, what is it you even want to manifest in your life? And in what way do you even want to live intentionally? Like, maybe life has been so busy for you, and that's, you know, was like your learned norm growing up, or just societally, that's how many of us are. Like, maybe you're just needing like some time out to really go within yourself and figure out what it is you even want, so that you can even direct some intentionality, with intention, in a way that's connected to your deepest self. And that is, you know, when we know what we really want by doing a lot of inner work. And just a tip here, a segue, like if you don't really know how to do that, the easiest and fastest way to get into your inner self is journaling. Ask yourself some questions and then just free write and see what happens. Make a practice and intention of journaling. That could be the best way to go into this cave space that's being talked about, and really getting in touch with who you are, what you actually want. The seeker coming through, it's like seeking within. What do you want? You need to contact your inner self, your intuition, your soul. You need to go do some depth work to even know what it is you want to create intentionality around. As you do that, the result is the Starborn. You will hatch out of that cave area, that inner work, that new cultivation of intentionality and kind of slowing things down and being much more conscious and present and aware to your thoughts, your rhythms, your actions. You are going to be reborn, manifesting the star life you want. Any star status you desire from that deeper place. And I don't think this has to be like a star in the world, like a celebrity, but like to yourself, like where you are starting to this place, the Starborn, you would glamorize as like very star status, who you are going to become through this new chapter will feel like the self you are right now to that end point of this chapter. The arc will take you from just like honestly, I feel like a little bit of a chaotic mind or a chaotic life to this, what you would consider star status, what you would consider just the most magnificent being in the world, like the ultimate of like who you dream yourself to be, desire yourself to be. That's the Starborn. That's who you are going to be able to become through going through this process of really seeking within, seeking in the world, slowing it down, becoming much more intentional, much more aware of your thoughts, much more aware of who you are inside and what your soul wants in life. Yeah, gorgeous. You're going to be reborn a star to yourself. Wow, okay. All right, let's do some tarot cards. Knight of Cups, beautiful. Five of Cups. High Priestess, that doesn't surprise me. And, oh, we can't quite see these, can we? Sorry, I'm a perfectionist sometimes with this kind of thing. Okay, High Priestess, one more. And Death. Yeah, you're gonna go through a pretty big transformation in this chapter. You are going to get in touch with your intuition and your inner knowing and really know how to trust that and let it guide and lead you. And that's actually going to become like a really sought after trait that others will respect and want from you, as well as just it being something that helps you. That's what you're going to transform into. I think you're moving away from a certain, it's going to, like, stepping into this chapter may feel like it comes with some feelings of sorrow or grief, because I think you're going to move into a little bit more of a reality based kind of person. I think that maybe you've been a little bit fanciful and whimsical, and it maybe hasn't produced the results you've hoped for in life. And it can be a very magical feeling to kind of live in a fanciful place. And I think you're coming to an understanding that, like, ultimately it hasn't led you to where you hoped it would, and it hasn't created results in your life that that you desire. And so there's like this bittersweet thing of like, okay, I need to kind of step into like a different way of being, of moving through life, and I'm sort of going to grieve this persona that I've been functioning out of, because it's felt a little bit magical, but it's also been a little bit illusionary at the same time. Yeah, so there's like some grief about it, some attachment to it, but you are ultimately going to pull through that and recognize that on the other side of leading a little bit more of a reality-based life, you actually come into much deeper relationship with your intuition and inner knowing. It's like being anchored and grounded in reality then allows that magic to actually also be in reality. So it's just like, yeah, I think it's a transformation from the Knight of Cups energy to the High Priestess. And you may not feel initially like leaving that Knight of Cups energy. But and hopefully maybe this gives you some insight, if you were to know that that would mean that you could become a High Priestess. There's no comparison. She's so much more magical and enchanting and powerful. Well, I don't know if I would say enchanting, but she's so much more powerful and mystically astute than the Knight of Cups. And I think sometimes the Knight of Cups can like parade itself as being sort of like a High Priestess, but it's not quite yet. It's just like a little bit too it's just like not grounded, not in the reality of situations, which doesn't do any service to your intuition. Yeah, so big transformation coming. This new chapter is leading you from Knight of Cups energy, kind of fanciful, creative, impressive in certain ways, but not maybe making real powerful results in life, to the High Priestess that really brings it in, that really connects you to your soul, your intuition, and your inner knowing, which allows you to connect to your energetics, to the energetics of what you're trying to manifest. It's much more real in application. Yeah, and it's a big transformation. Who you are now to who you will be at the end of this chapter, or even midway through the chapter, I would say, is like a pretty huge transformation, a very big change. Yeah, very cool. Okay, to end this, we are going to pick a goddess card to show which goddess is sort of stepping in as a guide for this chapter, hence some other energy around this Vesta home. Your household situation is improving either through a move or a healthy change in the occupants. And I tend to like to think of Vesta as like our body as home, and how we tend to our inner flame, our inner passions. So I think, you know, and I think about the inner self, the soul as that inner home. And so I do think that Vesta is coming in to really help connect you to your soul, which is the thing that can ignite that inner flame within us. That's very real, that's very connected, that's very aligned, that makes us know who we are, makes us know what we want, makes us feel like we belong in this world, and that we have a purpose and a mission and desires, and but no matter where those goes, we're always at home in ourselves, which makes us comfortable in moving out into the world. Yeah, gorgeous, beautiful reading, you guys. I love this one. Yeah, if this resonates, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and definitely always grateful to see kind and thoughtful comments. Nice to feel some human energy beyond the numbers out there. Yeah, anyway, that said, I hope you guys have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. I'll see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading all about what new chapter is about to start. You picked this very green turquoise stone that we'll place over here. So my intention with this reading is that this is a new chapter that is like right on the horizon. That is something that will start somewhere between now and within 2 months of now, of you seeing this. So for you guys, the card that was under your stone, which is kind of the foundational energy around this new chapter, you picked the card of emotions. And so this is keying me in to this this chapter having a lot to do with a lot of healing work, especially around kind of slowing down and really starting to get in touch with very subtle and spiritual things within you and around you, and energy in general. And specifically really doing a lot of deep work around understanding emotions when they arise in you, being able to identify them. It's shocking how many people, you know, there's certain emotions where you're like, yeah, I know that was rage and I know that was joy, but there's a lot of variation in emotions. And sometimes a lot of times, most of us can really struggle to even name what an emotion is. Like, for example, just right now, pause and take a few breaths and ask, what am I feeling right now? You may have sort of a sensation, there's sort of I'm in a generally okay mood, but what is that emotion? You know, like it can take a minute to identify and name an emotion. And so many of them come through us every single day. On top of that, we all have, to live a human life is a little bit of an emotional, a battle in general, but definitely an emotional battle, if anything. And we have a lot of stored emotion in our bodies that to release it requires us to do energy healing, energy work. And so you may be coming into a new chapter of really, diving into all of this, diving into understanding emotions, how to work with them, how to identify them, how to let them move through you, how to use them in beautiful ways. As well as for some of you, this may be a chapter that's calling you into the energy healing realm, whether to do as a practitioner or just to learn to have as like a beautiful foundation. Like, we take health classes in our primary education, but we don't take energy classes. And I feel like that should be something that's taken. And so like maybe it's just like a new foundation you're adding to your understanding by taking, some Reiki classes or, whatever it is, massage, Reiki, any kind of energy, cranial sacral. There's many, many, many different kind of energy healing modalities. And maybe it's just a time to kind of dive into some of those, go to some practitioners, take some classes, certify in this or that. Not necessarily to have to, go out and be that in the world or use it, to help other people. That may, for some of you, resonate, but for some of you, it might just be for your own toolkit for yourself. Anyway, I do feel this chapter coming up for you of like really diving into the subtle things of energy, really learning some foundations of this, understanding it in yourself, and it really rounding you out as a person into a much more, generally like a much more well-rounded person and a much more thoughtful, happy person as well. Not that you aren't thoughtful, happy people, but just like leveling up in that way. And if you're someone that's already, you already feel like you've done a lot of this, there may be just like a new chapter that comes on, like peeling an onion, where like you've reached a whole new layer, a whole new level, and really stepping into like sage terrain here. So wherever you're starting from, whether it's you've really given almost no thought to this, or you've done a little training, or you're already a practitioner of kind of energy healing and really understanding emotions, wherever you are on the spectrum, it's like you're coming into a new layer of this that really levels you up and really adds a new depth of calmness and peace and joy. Okay, let's get a few more oracle cards. Whew. Improbability, interesting. I do I do feel for a lot of you that this may be new to a degree, at least to like really do a deep dive here and go into like some kind of like training or focused study about it. And there's something here where it's like, this feels so over my head, or maybe you're already a practitioner, but you've decided, I'm gonna certify in Ayurvedic nutrition, or, like something a little deeper, like Ayurvedic nutrition, or become a traditional Chinese medicine acupuncturist, something where there's like a really intense training involved. Or for some of you, if this is very new to you, it's like even just taking a level 1 Reiki class or something. It feels so like out of your comfort zone. It feels like it's really pushing your boundaries in ways that are a little bit uncomfortable, but you know that will also really open you up in new ways and create new possibility in your life, like really open and broaden your life. But it's not always comfortable to kind of like push ourselves into things that don't feel quite normalized in our mode of being, or that feel just like maybe above our head in some way, or above our yeah, I mean, I do think it's just like pushing your norms here, what you would normally do or where you normally feel comfortable. And so like whatever comes on around what we've talked about, it will feel like you're really pushing yourself to do something different and to ultimately like really, you know, but what this says to me is it's not potentially going to broaden your life. This is going to broaden your life. It is going to create opportunities and openings and really expand your sense of being connected to the world at large, feeling much like you're taking up much more space by going through this chapter. Okay, let's look at a couple of Wild Unknown Archetype cards, add just a little more context into where this is going to be taking you. Beautiful, the offering. And one more. There we go. Oh, and the Creator. So this is going to open up to you know, how this will broaden you, the way it pushes your boundaries, what it is going to expand you and your life into is really tapping into a new level of creativity that you have not yet tapped. And this does make me feel like a lot of you, by reaching here, by pushing yourself here, by really diving into the realm of the subtle, you are going to gain certain skills and proficiency that you should at least consider offering to the world. And maybe at this moment and at the start of this, it's like, well, I'm just going to do this for fun and for myself. But as you go along, you may start to realize that this feels like a calling to you as you get into it. For others of you, if you're already kind of in this realm, what you offer now holds not even a flame to the offering you are going to be able to put out into the world by going into a new level of this. But yeah, I mean, I love that. And look at, it's like both of these are just hands, like just so much to give to the world, so much to express, so much to offer, so much to create. It's really unlocking something in you, like your heart just suddenly really feeling like it has so much to pour out and give into the world, and just feeling alive and overflowing. So that's gorgeous. So a bit uncomfortable at first, whatever comes in initially, but ultimately just really unlocking something in you that just helps this new flood of creativity and purpose just come out of you. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna do some tarot cards to go a layer deeper here, get a little more of a story maybe. The Hierophant, training. Do some training, even if that's not on your mind now. Open up to that. Ugh, this is so good. This is amazing. What a beautiful chapter, you guys. Two of Wands. Yeah, there is, however you feel about this right now, just wait. Like there is, because I do feel for some of you, it might just start as this kind of like longing or subtle draw, or something kind of opens up to you, or kind of comes across your radar and you're like, oh, that's interesting. But like as you step into this, it unlocks your power, where you claim a big victory in life, where you feel oriented to your purpose, and really cultivating a new sense of backbone and heart and command and leadership and ability to take up light and space in the world. Also a real ability to pull yourself together in a very focused way to kind of present, to know who you are, how you're presenting yourself in the world. Really finding a balance between like instinct and mind, wild pulse and civilized pulse, like knowing how to meld these aspects of you into something that really is allowing your heart to kind of hold a certain command in life. But definitely, like, all these beautiful cards, like so much creativity, command, victory, winning, destiny, purpose here. All that aside, this is saying that whatever you decide to kind of put yourself into, expose yourself to, get interested in, do some training and find, say you want to do some training in Reiki or in Ayurvedic nutrition, whatever it is for you. Do spend some time researching programs, researching specific teachers, researching who you really connect to as a teacher, because they are going to, either the program or the teacher is going to be very significant in your success. So make sure you resonate with them. Make sure you're like, I want to learn from that person or that school or that, whatever it is. Like, make sure there's a really strong connection for you, a strong call and draw to that. And do your due diligence, do your training. But there is this sign of like, you should be doing very traditional type training, like very focused, structured, accredited type of training here. But make sure you feel a resonance and a draw to that, whichever place or person or thing you choose to do some training from. And I mean, it's so funny to me because I don't know why I have this sense for most of you that you're probably like, what is going on? Like, this doesn't sound at all like me, or like something I would want a new chapter in or whatever. But like, I think something's going to come across your radar where you like tiptoe in, and then you're like, yeah, actually that would be cool to do some training in. And like the minute you dive into the training, it's like your potential just suddenly becomes so clear to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my path. This is such a calling. Like, I never in a million years would have picked this for some of you. Yeah, so whatever, watch for the thing that comes across your path. Do a little, tiptoe around it, gather a little information, expose yourself to it a little bit, get familiar with it, see where that takes you, because I think it's going to take you into a whole new world of possibility and really unlocks your, like, a certain potential that is just latent in you right now. Gorgeous. Okay, so to end this, we are going to see what goddess is, and she just shot, oh, you have two. Should we take them both? Why not? Which goddesses are kind of going to be guiding you in this chapter? Sieg, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Sieg, Quiet Time, and Sulis, Bodies of Water. I mean, talk about in this goddess deck, like the two right up there as the most sort of healing goddesses in this goddess deck. Quiet time and solace. So take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate, and contemplate. And then I always think of water as being very healing and connected to emotions. I mean, this feels like a very watery, it's like a jellyfish, right? Spend some time near water, such as a lake, river, or ocean, to recharge your batteries. Yeah, so maybe some of the modalities you come into may have something to do with water, or maybe you find some training that's on a coast somewhere. But whatever the case, this does indicate that this chapter will bring a lot of introspection, a lot of contemplation, some quiet time, and some recharging of your energy and some healing of your energy. This is all about the subtle and really uncovering a whole new layer of life by getting familiar with it and understanding it and really diving into it, and yeah, getting into all the depths of the water realm of emotion and subtle healing and subtle energy. So gorgeous. And it's gonna, yeah, I mean, it's really gonna broaden your life. It's really gonna unlock something in you that is currently just latent and waiting to be reached within you. I think it's like deep within you, and it's just not been reached yet. So wow, beautiful, beautiful reading, you guys. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you. If this resonated, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and definitely always grateful when I see kind and thoughtful comments in the comments section. It's always nice to feel that human touch behind the numbers and the technology, even if it's just like a little emoji or a thanks or pile, whatever. I think that it helps you claim it even more on a subconscious or in that kinesthetic way, but also is just, yeah, nice, something I appreciate too. So all right, this is where I'm gonna leave you guys. We've already gone over that. So yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and good luck on this really beautiful, deep chapter opening for you. All right, see you guys.